8 years, 9 years, and through the book that he's written. And he left a legacy to me that I'm very proud of. And so I decided to ask my father to come and talk to you. I'd like to introduce him to you and have him tell the story. Okay, this is Everett J. Dale, my father. Howdy. He was raised near the Ozarks, just north in Missouri, northern Missouri. He had to quit school when he was in the 8th grade. He did not have the advantages you have of taking math. He quit early. He was born in 1921. What happened in 1929? Economic depression. And it not only hit the United States, it hit the whole world. It hit my dad's family. He had to quit so he could go to work and provide money and food for his family. So he quit at 13 years old, had to quit and go to work for a farmer. So he's not too well educated. He talks not as good as I do, not as well as I do.
There you go.
But he's willing to tell his story. So, Dad, would you be ready to tell your story? Excuse me, I'm a little nervous. I reckon. Dad, I think you're nervous. Now quit. These guys aren't scary, are you? You're not scary. Come on. You can do that. Listen, just pretend that I know you don't know anything about computers and videos and PowerPoint. What's PowerPoint? PowerPoint. Don't worry about it. You're not used to any of that stuff. So just use your words. And listen, pretend you're an artist and your words are paintbrushes, okay? And you can paint a portrait with your words that they will hang in their memories in the gallery of their minds forever. You willing to do that? I figure I can do that. Don't he talk pretty? Well, okay, I figured I better get to painting. Well, I guess I could start back down when I was a youngin' out on the farm. And you gotta understand now, back in them days, they're making fun of me. If you promise not to laugh at me, I'll continue. Back in them days, they didn't have any machinery. They had a lot of machinery that pulled the horses. And my dad was a dirt farmer. I had 7, 8 brothers and sisters. We all helped on the farm. Well, my dad came to me one day and said, Everett, we're not able to put body and soul together. We're not making it. I got to take a job up in Iowa. And you're going to have to come with me. Well, that meant that I had to leave all my friends. I had lots of friends. And I had to leave my friends. I had to leave everything. And so my dad gave his horses and his machinery to my favorite uncle. And then we all went out to Iowa. Moved up in Iowa. Hummuston, Iowa. That's just on the southern border of Iowa. Where Iowa and Missouri meet. And so I was there about this 1939 now. Remember, I was born in 1921. So about 1939, we moved up to Hummuston, and my dad started working for that man, and I started working for a rancher. I found a job fairly quickly, and I was working for a rancher. I'd leave during the week, I'd stay out there in the bunkhouse and eat meals with him, then I'd come in on the weekend. Well, this one particular weekend, my sister was getting married. And before she moved into the house, in them days, what they used to do, they used to, before all the furniture got in, they'd call all the people around and they'd have a big country dance. Oh, it was fun. Everybody come in and dance. Well, this night, my sister, who went to the other sister, I got lots of sisters, but my sister, who went to the high school, had met a pretty young little friend and she's about a junior, senior in high school. And she'd come home with her. And so she's going to come to the dance. Well, I found out real fast that this, she's a pretty thing. Her name was Della. Oh, I was captured right away. And so I looked at that and I found out real fast that she didn't know how to dance. So guess what I did? I said, I can teach her. So all night long, I taught that woman how to dance. And we got along real good. Well, I figured I didn't want to go anywhere. I just wanted to be there every weekend. And I found out her dad was pretty strict. And so I figured out the best way I could do to meet my little honey was to pick her up after church. She'd go to church every Sunday night. And so I would drive my little car. Oh, I love my car too. 1932 Chevy, 4-wheel. Now, I had a flat tire every time I drove in and fixed it by hand, but still, it was a pretty good little car. $110 I paid for that thing. Oh, I was in the pink. I had no money. No money at all till I got to Huntston. Now I was earning $3 a week. Man, I was in the pink. I had lots of money in my pocket. I had new clothes on. I had a new car. Well, it was an old car. It was new to me. And so I'd get in that car and I'd go driving up to that church where she went, and I'd stay outside and I'd wait for her. July, August, it's hot in Huntston. Kind of like here, come to think about it. Kind of hot. Well, anyway, I'll sit out in the car, the windows roll down, the windows of the church up, and guess what I hear every Sunday night? I hear the song, Just As I Am, Just As I Am, without one plea. But thou, thy blood was shed for me. Oh, that was a pretty song. It got to where I wanted to come to pick her up just to hear the song. I love that thing. Well, one day, I was coming in from lunch. Now the boss's wife would take the mail that would come, and if there was any mail for me, she'd put it on the plate. She's kind of nice that way. And so one day I saw this letter on my plate. So I sat down, I was grinning ear to ear. I just knew it was from my little honey. Get to hear from her once a week. Some of you know what I'm talking about, don't you? You got a little sweetheart. Well, anyway. I sat down and I was thinking about opening it, and I opened it up and it didn't say, "Hi, honey." It said, "Mr. Everett J. Dale, you will report to Camp Dodge in 60 days. You, sir, are drafted." That blew my mind. I didn't want to go. I didn't want to go to war. I had $3 in my pocket. I had a girlfriend. I didn't want to go to war. But you don't say no to Uncle Sam. When he calls you, you gotta go. So I had my physical, and I passed the flying colors. Rats. But I did. I passed the flying colors. I was good health, and so they took me in. And so I knew that I had to be drafted. Well, in them days, lots of people were joining the Army. This is 1942. What was happened in 1941? All you smart people. World War II, United States entered. Japan bombed Pearl Harbor, and that brought the sleeping giant awake. And so the big industrial nation of the United States started cranking out planes and men and war equipment, and we entered the war. And so they had to have lots of men come into the Army. They had to be trained to fight. They had to be trained to go to the front lines. So there were so many men, I couldn't even be trained. So what they did is they sent a bunch of us down to Panama for our basic training. And I got on that boat. And I never even seen the ocean before. Here I was on this boat, and the United States kept getting further and further and further away, and my heart gets smaller and smaller and smaller. I was scared to death. I didn't tell no one, but I was scared to death. We were on that ship for like 2 weeks. And the men, all they wanted to do is, there was nothing to do. So all they wanted to do was sing. They loved to sing. Oh, they loved to sing. And in them days, I could play any tune on my little mouth harp. Any tune at all. All you gotta do is whistle it or hum it, I can play it. You know what a mouth harp is? play that mouth harp, and these 100, 200 men, they'd sing. Oh, some of them would sing. Anyway, we had a very good time, trying to kill time till we got there. Well, we got down to Panama, and they put us through the basic training. Crawling on your belly under live machine gun fire. Try that for a weekend exercise. And they trained us for 6 weeks, and they finally put me on duty up in the Galapagos Islands. Now, do you know where the Galapagos Islands is? Galapagos Islands? It's not far from here, is it? I don't think it's very far from here. Well, anyway, Galapagos Islands, they put me on a searchlight. Now, what a searchlight is you have bags of sand sticking up about this high, enough to protect you whenever, if the planes start coming in and shooting at you, you can hide behind the sand. And then you have this big, huge searchlight inside, and I had to keep that mirror shining, and I had to keep that light going. So if I heard those planes, I could shove that searchlight up and find that airplane and highlight it so we could shoot it down. The Japanese had a kind of a funny habit of flying over there, so we had to keep the Japanese planes shot down this way. They shoot back. Now, this worked out okay, except they needed a man on a gun. And so they put me on a 155 howitzer. And if you don't know what a 155 howitzer is, you don't want to know. That thing is taller than I am. To shoot one bullet, it took 2 men to raise one bullet and put it in the gun. It's huge. The bullets were 2 feet long. So they'd stick it in, and then I would sit in there inside that little sandbag house of mine, and I'd pull that trigger, and then I would hide, cover my ears, and that thing would just go, just blow a huge shell. The concussion of that thing was so tough that one time when I bent over, I had my leg sticking out of the doorway by accident, of course. It blew my pants off. It ripped my pants right off the leg. That's a powerful gun. I'd come out of that little house just shaking every time I had to fire that thing. So my job on the Galapagos Islands was pretty intense. And but I had an attitude. And my attitude is, you can't tell me nothing. I'm half grizzly bear, I'm half mountain lion, the other part's wolverine, badger, somewhere in there. I can spit further, holler louder, fight harder than anybody in this room. I'm a farm boy. I'm tougher than anybody. Problem with that is that one day I was in my tent and I was writing to my little honey. I wrote her every week. And my sergeant comes out and says, Dale, get out there on the sandbag duty. You got to haul a bunch of sandbags down from the beach and make a new house for this gun. I said, I'm busy. He said, Dale, get out here right now, we need you. I said, listen, I'm writing to my girlfriend. I could do that job myself if I had to. You don't need me. He said, hello? Here's $50, says you can. Nobody tells me what I can do. And so I said, you alone, buddy. So I hauled sand for 2 hours without a shirt on. I blistered my back. I burned it to a red. I couldn't walk straight for 2 weeks, but I did it. And I showed it. About a week later, I was in my tent. It was about midnight. It's dark as it ever gets there in the Galapagos Islands. You can read the newspaper by the moonlight. Very light there. I was in my tent, and suddenly from somewhere, my heart got hollow. I said, I could die any day from one of these bullets. I am lonely, my family, my lover, everybody is over in the United States. I am all alone, I could die and nobody would care. And suddenly, somewhere within me, I felt lonely. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. And I turned over in my bunk, and I put my head in the pillow, and I began to weep. I said, I am not ready to die. I don't know about God. I don't know where I would end up. I don't want to go to hell. And I have never been in a church in my life. I didn't know anything about God. So I determined the next day, and I talked with God that night. whoever he was. I said, God, I need you. I need something. And so the next day was Sunday, and I determined to go to church. Church, they'd haul a whole bunch of us guys in the back of a wagon, and we'd take us all over to the other side of the island. There was this little church there that they would all gather, and there's about 300 guys there. And I said, I think I'm going to go down in front and talk to the preacher and say, I need saved. But I wasn't sure. I was kind of scared. So the song started. Just as I am. That's all I needed. Just as I am. Without one plea. But thy blood was shed for me. And so I think I stepped on 5 people's toes trying to get out of there. I virtually ran down to the bottom down. I said, preacher, I need saved. So I talked to the preacher, and so he showed me what the gospel. Praise God, this guy knew Jesus. He was a born-again believer of Jesus Christ. And he knew what the gospel was, and he shared the gospel with him. He said, you have sin that keeps you from God. You need to repent of that sin. You need to be sick of it, and turn over to Jesus Christ. You need to give your life to Jesus and trust him for salvation, not your own works. You can't do it yourself, Everett. And I believe that. And I gave my life to Jesus. He said, there's no reason we can't be baptized. We got a pretty big swimming pool out there, Pacific Ocean. So he marched me out in the Pacific Ocean, clear up to my neck. Oh, that guy dumped me clear under. I was going to die. I found out later that's called baptism. But I got baptized. And that experience kept me for the rest of the war. The war starts to heat up. Hitler becomes stronger. And so they need many good men on the front line. And so they pulled all us guys out of the Pacific Theater, pulled us in, gave us some special training. This time it's combat training. I could kill a man 3 ways with my bare hands. They trained us very well. They showed us how to shoot, how to run, how to endure. There was a 40-mile hike. There was an ambulance coming up behind to pick up anybody that couldn't make it because many men would faint and fall. They couldn't handle it. I came in second. Nobody tells me I can't do that. I became such a good shot, I was awarded sharpshooter. Oh, I was a dummy. Why do you think they're giving prizes to people like me? They want to find the best men to put them right out in front. So that's what they found out I was a sharpshooter, they found out I was strong, and so they put me right out front. They made me a sniper. And as you know, snipers wind up in the very front of everybody. They're the first ones to get killed. Well, we had a 21-day leave before they shipped us out. 21 days to see my sweetheart. So I was out there so fast you could see the dust behind me. And I went down to Iowa and I got to see my little honey. And you know, in them days they just loved soldiers. And they would give me gas, they'd give me cars, they'd give me gas rationing tickets. I'd have to explain that. But they just had all kinds of stuff they gave me. And I just had a 21-day fun time with my sweetheart. Toward the end, she said, Junior, that's my middle name, Junior, I think we ought to get married. And I said, no, we can't get married. I could be shot the next day. I'd be shot, and then you'd be a widow in a week. She said, I don't care. I love you. And I said, well, I figured it's okay. So we went out and got married. I got a little car. We couldn't find a good place, and so we camped out in the middle of a new road. Just got out in the middle of the road. The preacher said, do you? And I said, I do. And he said, you're done. And we were married. I left the next day. Now, where we went to, they shipped us out on a couple of troop ships. There was 3 or 4 troop ships. There were hundreds and hundreds of us dummies that did really, really well. And so they shipped us out, and they put us in the middle of 4 destroyers, 2 battleships, one aircraft carrier, 4 submarines. I mean, we were protected to the hilt. And we left out of New Jersey, and we traveled all around and came into Marseille, France. And they said, when you hit that beach, and that front thing comes down, you run. Because there's people over there that don't like you.